Hello and welcome back. So, what are we going to look at today? Today, we're looking at the R sound. Now, have you ever had trouble with the R? A lot of students have had trouble with the R, the American R. It's a little bit hard to grasp, basically, because it happens inside of our mouth. You don't see what's happening. So, if you've ever had problems with the R sound or how to pronounce certain words that have R, well, watch this video and hopefully it'll help you with a few tricks and tips and practice to help you master that R sound. All right, so let's start off with talking about why the R is so hard for so many English learners to master. All right, so let's get into that. The problem with the letter R is that you can't see how it's made. With the letter P, you can see lips closing and then opening quickly with a small puff of air. P, p, p. But the R sound happens inside your mouth where you can't see. Your lips are almost closed and the sound comes from your throat. It's hard to know what your tongue is doing inside. When you hear the R sound, it's different from seeing it, especially if you're used to making the R sound by touching the top of your mouth with your tongue. So the question is, how should your tongue move when you say R? And this is especially true for Spanish speakers, or I think Portuguese speakers, I think maybe Italian speakers, among other languages, but particularly these languages, they have that habit of touching the roof of their mouth or having some type of contact in your mouth with their tongue. And to make the R sound, you can't have any contact whatsoever. Your tongue should not be touching the roof of your mouth or the bottom or your lips or anything like that. All right. So that's pretty much why it's so hard to know what speakers are doing with the R sound because it all happens in our mouth. You can't really see what's going on. So, how do we create this? Well, I'll give you a simple trick. Pretend your hand is your tongue. Where's my hand? This hand right here. Yeah. Let's go with this hand. So pretend your hand is your tongue. This is your tongue, right? Hold it out flat with your palm up and tip it down a little at the back, kind of like that. This is like your tongue when you say ah, like when you go to the doctor and the doctor wants to check your throat, you say ah. So your flattest hand showing you the ah sound. This is the ah, 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 ah. Right? So imagine you're at the doctor's. He wants to see your throat. Open up. Ah. So what do we want to do from here? In order to create the R sound, we're going to say ah, and then you're going to curl it back a little bit. The tip of your fingers, that's the tip of your tongue. R, R, R is going back into your throat a little bit. So the sound comes from your throat, but your tongue is helping because it's coming back. R. All right. Now, to make the sound from the E sound, slide your tongue back like a collapsing accordion, allowing the sides of your tongue to touch the inside of your molars. Make sure the tip of your tongue doesn't touch anything. Then pull your tongue back toward the middle of your throat and lower the sound deeper into your throat. So like I said, it's a throaty sound, right? It's a throaty sound. But if you're going from that's how to pronounce the R. R. If you're going from the only thing that really makes the E sound are the corners of your lips. They go up a little bit. You tense it. E, 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 E. Now if you want to go from E to the again, same thing. Palm out flat, ear, ear. And the sides of your tongue should be touching your molars. All right. Ear, going back, ear. Remember, no contact. It shouldn't touch the roof of your mouth. It shouldn't be flat in your mouth. It shouldn't be forward. It should be kind of in the back, but kind of floating in the air. Ear, ear. And you're going to bring the sound from your throat. Ear, Alrighty, so again, everything has to do with practice, and that's what we're going to be doing. Let's see if we can practice a little bit with some of these words. So we have a list of words here which we're going to be practicing with. You have the little image there just to give you a visual idea what we do with our tongue. Remember, with the tongue, it goes back, kind of back into our mouth. It should be touching our molars a little bit. So I'm going to read these words out loud, slowly. You can listen to it and read after I do, all right? So repeat after I pronounce the word. So let's begin from the first word here. Greek, Greek, green, green, grass, grass. Remember what your tongue is doing. Focus on what your tongue is doing. Grow, grow, crow, crow, core, core, cork, cork, coral, coral, cur, cur, curl, curl, girl, girl, gorilla, gorilla, her, her, erg, erg, error, error, mirror, mirror. Those two might be a little bit more difficult because we have two sounds, one after another. Were, were, war, war, gore, gore, wrong, wrong, ringer, ringer, church, church, pearl, pearl. Right, so practice makes perfect. You got to practice as much as possible. These are just some words. There's so many words that have R in them. These are just some of the words. Now practice them, but slowly. Right now, we're not worried about fluency. We're not worrying about speed. We're worrying about accuracy, how well you pronounce the word. So begin slowly pronouncing these words and phrases slowly, and little by little, you can speed it up and more and more and more each time. But in the very beginning, it's slow and steady and accurately. All right, so let's focus on accuracy. Now we're going to practice a little bit more with a story, a short story, The Mirror Store. I'm basically going to read it out loud. You're just going to listen to how the R sounds. Focus on the R sounds. All right. Now you can always pause it anytime and read it out loud yourself. I recommend recording yourself as well so you can hear yourself in third person and you can pick up on these mistakes that otherwise you normally might not pick up on. All right, so record yourself and repetition. Repetition is key. So let's go over this short story here. The Mirror Store. The hurly-burly mirror store at Vermont and Beverly featured hundreds of first-rate miners. There were several mirrors on the chest of drawers, and the largest one was turned toward the door in order to make the room look bigger. One of the girls who worked there was concerned that a bird might get hurt by hurtling into its own reflection. She learned by trial and error how to preserve both the mirrors and the birds. Her earnings were proportionately increased at the miner's store to reflect her contribution to the greater good. Right now, you notice I read it very slowly, articulating it, because again, it's not about speed, it's not about how fast you can read it or how fast you can speak. we're focusing on accuracy. So just focus on pronouncing it correctly, and naturally, little by little, you're going to be able to speak faster and faster and faster and pronounce it perfectly while speaking faster. But for now, accuracy, slow and steady wins the race. All right. Now, this is just a little bit of the R sound. All right. There are so many other things to get into. Combining the R's with the vowel sounds, the different intonation levels that the R may have depending on the word, and different ways we can practice the R sound. There are the invisible R. That there's so many things to get into with the R sound. But since I'm not going to make a 3-hour video on the R, we're just going to leave it at that, just with very, very punctual tips to improve the R sound. In future videos, I'll be diving into other aspects of the R and how to perfect that R sound a little bit. Now, speaking of future videos, if you're interested in watching more videos, whether it be with the R sound or so many other sounds that we're going to be getting into little by little, I recommend that you hit the like button. Please hit like, subscribe so you can see future videos as well to improve your pronunciation and your English skills overall. All right. So I hope it was useful. I hope you got some utility out of the video. To end the video, we're going to get into a quote. I always like to end with quotes, in this case from Vladimir Lenin. Learning is never done without error and defeat. And I've said this in other videos as well. Don't worry about making mistakes. It doesn't matter. In fact, it's good if you make mistakes because that's how you learn. Right? Nobody has ever improved or learned anything without making some mistakes along the way. So just practice, pronounce it to the best of your ability, focus on what your tongue is doing, and repetition, repetition, repetition. All right. So I'm going to let you guys go. Check out future videos where we're going to dive into more details about the R sound. All right. So I hope it was useful, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.